Hi, Sparkles. This is episode 147 of the Intuitive Wisdom Podcast. Today, I'm sharing my conversation with Kristin Swanson. She leads a writers group that I'm a part of, and I'm always impressed by her tips to help me focus and use my time, as well as the calm and welcoming environment that she creates. In our conversation, we talk about energy management, taking action without losing yourself, and her ease method to get things done. Here we go. Hi, and welcome to Intuitive Wisdom. I am your host, Kay Margaret Solorio. I am an author, spiritual teacher, and certified Angel Reiki Master. I believe that all the answers you seek are inside you. When you learn to discern between the ego and the intuition, tune into spirit, you can hear that whisper, your intuitive wisdom, answering your questions and showing you the next right step. On this podcast, we explore that connection and the good that happens in the world when you learn to hear your intuition, trust your intuitive wisdom, and allow your magic. Quick announcements before we get to the inspiring interview. My book is now available on Amazon. It's available in paperback and on Kindle. It's called Make Ease Your Vibe. You can either search that title or search my name, Kay Margaret Solorio, to find it on Amazon. There are bonuses available. I've created bonuses to go with each chapter and a chapter outline because that's the way my brain works. So if you go to the website, to my website, deliciousease.com, you can sign up. You can click on book in the menu. I think that's the easiest way. Otherwise, use the initials of the book, MEV. Make Ease Your Vibe. MEYV. Almost. To get to the page directly, and you can enter your name and email after you purchase the book and get all those bonuses. Also, we've got a Center and Soul series starting May 1st. I've been working very hard on this, and I'm very excited to share it with you. It will be daily episodes that release for the month of May. So 31 episodes. The topic is meditation, but it's expansive from that. So the idea is to go inward for the month and have a short inspirational episode. They're just 2 minutes each. Something to think about. You know me, I love food for thought. And a quick action item, something that's easy to do that will help you raise your vibration, feel grounded, feel centered, and live from your soul. We've also got monthly group sessions. I am working on the May topics, but we will have a group angel energy healing as well as a live guided meditation. Again, you can go to the website for those details. And if you're not on the email list, you can be sure to sign up for the email list. I've also got a free 20-minute guided meditation that I link to in the show notes that will get you on the email list too. All right. Kristin Swanson's Execute with Ease programs help you turn procrastination into profit and expand your reach to leave a legacy. Kristin believes these projects are divine desires that are clues to reaching your full potential. As a cancer survivor, she learned the importance of getting out of one's own way and how to stop waiting until someday to make a unique impact. Realizing deeply that you only live once, Kristin has gained perspective, tools, and strategies to overcome the illusions fears instills on us. She helps you reach a broader audience with your message and impact lives while honoring your own. Without further ado, here is my conversation with Kristin. Well, welcome, Kristin, again. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm very excited to have you here. Well, on this podcast, as you may know, I like to explore the magic that happens when you learn to hear and trust your intuitive wisdom. So I was curious for you, what does your intuitive wisdom feel like?
Yes, I love this question because I think that it's sort of different for everyone, but for me, it's like a whisper. It sounds like a whisper that I actually don't hear unless I get quiet enough to hear it.
Yeah.
And I find that with myself and my clients, oftentimes the ego is louder, right? So we could, if we're not careful, run our lives without hearing it. So it sounds like a whisper, and it feels like kind of like a sinking in knowing that feels like guidance. And I believe it's like coming from your soul and higher power. And it just feels like a really good way to live your life when you're listening to that and being guided.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree with it all. I I do think it's different for everyone. I think when you're getting into meditation or connecting with yourself and you don't know where to start, it's hard to remember that it does feel different. Like we all have different senses and we all have different favorite senses. But for me too, it is like a whisper. And my kids always laugh at me, but I have so many thoughts going on in my head at the same time that they'll talk to me and I'll hear it, but I won't hear it, so to speak. And so then I'll have to repeat it out loud and then I'll like intake the information and be able to respond. So I'm repeating what they're saying and they laugh at me and get annoyed. But that I realized when you were talking, that happens with my intuition too, where I'll hear the whisper and I'll start arguing with myself or with my intuition. And I'm like, wait, what are you arguing with? Stop. That's the word you were waiting for.
It might even be a good indicator that it is, if there is an argue following it, right?
Right. Well, yeah, you're like you said, the ego is pretty strong, and yeah, sometimes it goes, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "Wait a second, don't argue with your intuition." Anyway, well, I'm excited to talk about your work, and I know you help your clients take action without losing themselves in the mix. And I think of my intuition, that connection, that whisper to myself and to spirit as a good kind of barometer indicator of that. Like if I'm praying during the day or hearing that whisper during the day, I know I'm connected and not completely lost. So I was curious how you find that balance between the doing and the being, getting it all done and not losing yourself, getting overwhelmed.
Yes. Okay. I love that you listen. If you can't hear it, that's a good indicator. And then, so mine is like, I think of it as energy management.
Okay.
So because I don't know, we're all energy, and what I have found is that when I am managing my energy, I think we all know how to manage our time and are pretty good at that. But I think what sometimes gets lost is energy management. And when I am proactively managing my energy, which to me means fueling my energy and doing it on purpose. So making sure that, and I do believe this also is different for everyone. So for me, it's making sure that I get a workout in and meditation or breath work or, connecting inward, like with my journal in the morning, these things that fuel you. That is when I feel grounded and feel like I can also hear that intuition, right? And then what I also like to do is minimize the things that drain my energy, and teaching my clients how to do that as well. So that could be as easy as just paying attention throughout 1 week and noticing when you're fueled up and when you feel drained. Mm-hmm. And then you can't completely forget the drains, which is what I kind of try. I shoot for like fuel or forget it, delegate it, let it go. Can you take it off the list? But we can't always do that, right? But you can minimize those things that drain you. Like for some people, if you're an introvert, maybe the thing that drains you is giving a presentation, or, it's different for everyone, but you can do the presentation. Everyone can do it, but it might drain your energy more. So I often like to bookend those drains with the fuel. So does that mean that you need to do a meditation beforehand and maybe go on a walk when you're done, or, to fuel your energy again? So that's the way I look at it in terms of managing the energy. And then when you feel fueled up, you're just more clear about everything and you can hear that intuition.
That's a really good point. It's a different way of illustrating this idea of once you feel connected and the energy is flowing in a good way, everything else will flow. So you won't get overwhelmed because you have the ability to hear or see what you need to do. I feel like when you get overwhelmed, everything feels like a priority or it's like survival mode and you don't see those fluctuations. But if you're in a good mood, you can easily. It's funny, what just came to mind was I've had conversations with both my kids recently about getting in trouble at school and trying to give them the perspective of the teacher, and as an adult with lots of things that you kind of get pushed and pushed and pushed. And then they were both saying they had witnessed a kid getting in trouble for not a big deal, something that wouldn't normally be a big deal. And I was like, well, surely there were things that led up to that. And I think that is kind of similar to what you're saying. If you can manage to keep your energy in tune and be aware of, like you said, what drains and what builds the energy, then you can help maintain that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that exact thing that you're talking about could also happen in the workplace, right?
Oh,
Where
yeah, of course.
and you're and if we live our lives with all of these things that drain us and nothing that fills you back up, which some of us have had to like retrain ourselves to do in order to do these things, because you could be working somewhere that you don't want to be working, or being around people that drain you, that, maybe it's
Mm.
family, you feel like you have to be with them. And so,
It's true.
it's definitely being aware of, it's being intentional is the way I look at it,
Yeah.
right? About where you're spending your time.
I love that. And I've spent a lot of time over the past year, if not more, working on understanding my energy, because I think you're rightfully describing how like things that drain you and things that build you up, but then you have to be able to identify and like catch those signals before they get too far into the drain, and that's an interesting process, getting to know yourself and how it expresses in your body. And I've had an experience lately where I realized when I am doing something that I don't want to do, I sneeze a lot.
Whoa. Okay. See, yeah. So
It's
that's like,
hilarious.
and then you learn, but
Yeah.
you didn't know that before if
I
you weren't
didn't
paying.
know it at all. I thought I was, getting sick. And even like people around me are like, are you getting sick? Like, no, I'm not. Now I know. Oh, I'm just pushing myself to do something that's not really in alignment.
That's so good. So
It's
I
funny.
encourage when clients just, at first they might not be clear at all on what is fueling them and draining them. It's like, I have no idea. But just if you just take a journal with you for 1 week and just pay attention and jot down a couple of ideas in
Hmm.
on a paper. Oh, I feel fueled up right now. Oh, this is my least favorite thing. I don't like it. It could be an environment, it could be people. There are so many different things that it could be an activity, a type of activity. And then you start to get to know it. And then, yeah, maybe there's like something that shows up in your body, like, a feeling that you feel. And sometimes if we're like pumped with cortisol and it's all stress all the time, you don't know yet until you
Yeah,
start to practice noticing.
I agree. Um, so we talked a little bit about let's see, getting in your own way, I think by having commitments that are hard to let go of. But why do you think we otherwise get in our own way when we're reaching towards something we really want?
When we are reaching towards something we really want, this is like what I call soul-led goals. So deep down inside, you want to do it. I think it's fear. I mean, it really comes down to fear. We're afraid. And the bigger the fear, the more of an indicator that is the thing that you really want to do, that your soul really does.
That needs attention.
Yes. And so paying attention to the fear and learning how to move through the fear, and because fear is an emotion and emotions are temporary. And when you can learn to, I like to think of it as like dancing with the illusion of fear, you can still take action. It doesn't mean you can't, but we see we let that stop us so easily.
Hmm. That makes sense. I also wanted to mention that you started a writers group, which I had the pleasure of joining, and we have monthly meetups, and you help us focus our time and make progress. And I'm sure this is something you do all the time, but I was surprised at how, like at the beginning of each session, you really say, okay, like specific reminders, turn off your browsers or turn over your phone and get a piece of paper out so you can brain dump if you really can't handle the distractive thoughts. But I think it's funny that we all need the specific reminders. Like it's not just a general, like, okay, get ready. It's like, no, 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 go do this and this and this, and then we'll start. It's so helpful. And it's so powerful how much we can get done in focus time. I know it really helped me get over the last myself, I guess, hurdles of self-publishing and getting my book out into the world. So I was curious if what for you is cornerstone in a community and a group like that, because I know you've helped a lot of us get a lot done.
Yeah, so a couple of things. So that's similar to my productivity sessions when I do that. It's kind of like the focus method, I call it. And while we could say that and people could listen to this podcast, I think our brains kind of turn off when it sounds so simple like that. You just turn your phone on, turn your notifications off, close your browsers. Our brains like to go, oh, I know that. Of course I know that. But how often when you sit down to work, do you literally close all your browsers, only work on your one thing, set the phone down, put it on silent, turn it upside down? I mean, that's kind of the detail I get into.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do that. We're just, and so when we have this container of other people doing that too, you kind of feel an accountability to do it.
That makes sense.
And so and plus I think there's like this focused energy when we're all doing it at the same time. And then the other thing that I see as being really helpful for those group sessions is because we usually talk kind of in the beginning and the end. And when you can hear your similar story in somebody else, when somebody else is talking about why they're blocked, like, I don't feel like I'm ready yet, I'm not enough, these stories that we tell ourselves, and you hear that you're not alone, there's a validation in that. Plus, other people reflecting back to you, typically the other people kind of see a higher vision for you than you can yourself a lot of times. And so when somebody else reflects that back to you, it's like, oh, they think I can do it. Maybe I could do this. And then when I'm coaching them in the group setting, the other thing that really helps is seeing somebody else get coached through a similar block that you experience. You start to see, oh, look, if she can do it, I can do it too. Look how easy that is. And it's like similar kind of mindset strategies that over and over. So I think it expedites it when you're seeing other people go through these things too.
Wow, that's amazing. I have a similar experience when I do group energy healing sessions, that focused energy of multiple people definitely feels like it speeds things up.
Yeah, it's like potent energy.
Potent.
I
That's
think
a good word.
it's the intentionality of multiple people, or I don't even
Exactly.
know exactly
Intention.
what it is, but it's magical,
It
and
is.
I'll take it because I think it works. Yeah.
Yeah, amen. That's a good point. I was curious, when you work with your clients, do you find that they need this help in terms of like defining and bringing clarity to their purpose, or that they have a purpose and they seem stuck behind a wall, figurative wall, and it's getting there?
Yeah, usually my clients, just because of my specific niche in like helping them with these projects that they're putting off, it's usually overcoming the wall that's in the way. I like how
Okay.
you put that. And moving them through those blocks to start to take action regularly. So I teach them what I call my ease method. So the fueling your energy, like I talked about, and then, but you can have, and you need that extra energy in order to go after these soul led goals because of that fear that we talked about. But you can have all the energy in the world, and if you don't know what actions to take. So the second part is the soul led action, where I'm teaching them to take small actions, but take them regularly.
Mhm.
Because when you take them regularly, that's when the universe shows up to support you, and that's when the ease comes in. And then the last part is neuromining, where I help them with overcoming those mental blocks. Because once you have more energy, take the action, that's when all the fear comes up, all the stories about why you're not ready yet, and who are you to do this, and all of that stuff. So I teach them how to move through those blocks with both, basically like mining for those blocks. What are the stories that you're telling yourself? Daily looking at that, and then with both conscious and subconscious tools, overcoming them to do that dancing with the illusion of fear that I talked about, where you're still taking action, even though you're hearing that voice, and you kind of learn to do it anyway and keep going. And the more you practice it, the better you get, because I believe that it's a constant. Like once you finish that project, there's going to be another one, another big, scary soul-led goal that you want to go after. So the better you get at moving through the fear, the more, because it's sort of like new level, new devil. There'll be another one. But if you get really good at it, then you can see the results that you want.
I like that. It reminds me, I had the opportunity this year to speak with a profit first coach. And so she was talking about similar strategies, but in terms of money. And one thing so we talked about vision and having a strategy, but then she said it really is that mindset piece that makes executing the strategy easy, because otherwise you get stuck or stop yourself.
Yeah, and often we don't even know there is anything there. Like we were talking about earlier, if in the very beginning, if the only voice you're listening to is that louder one, always, then you don't even know that is a block. It feels like that is your reality. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes sense a lot.
So it kind of comes back to probably what you talk about a lot, which is getting quiet. I mean, taking the time to alone or whatever you need to do to kind of silence that inner critic. And it looks different for everyone. I mean, it could be meditation, but it could also be going on a walk. It could be being in nature. It could be all kinds of things.
My husband likes boxing and training, and that's when he gets in the zone. Like, when you stop that, like you said, the egoic mind, and you can hear your whisper, if it's a whisper for you. But that's exactly right. Getting to a place where you can recognize it.
Which I think is why people say you have good ideas when you're in the shower. I mean, it's forcing you, because everybody takes a shower, it's forcing you to just only do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you kind of let go and don't fight the thoughts, just observe them, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was curious if you'd share a little bit more of your story with us, because I'm sure, at least for a lot of us, we come through to realize all of these enlightenments through our own journeys. So I was curious what for you was maybe one of the greatest insights or intuitive wisdom that you've received and acted on.
Yeah, so my greatest intuitive insight when I knew, oh, my intuition knows the answer, is as a breast cancer survivor. So I don't know if you know that I'm a breast cancer survivor, but
I read about it in your bio.
Yeah. So it was when I first got diagnosed, and I was really upset that the doctors didn't tell me what to do. I really wanted them to tell me what surgery to have, was the main thing at that point. And but that wasn't my experience. And it's often not with doctors. So they give you all of the different options and all of the different odds, and then you are left to go home and decide. And so I could have had a lumpectomy, I could have had a single mastectomy, or I could have had a double mastectomy, and then I had to go home and decide that. And I had already had a couple of lumpectomies, one when I was pregnant with my daughter. So I kind of it just was very confusing time for me. But it was when I got really quiet with myself and was one day writing in my journal, and I asked the question of myself, what do you want your legacy with this cancer to be?
Oh, wow.
And it just came to me. Like, I just wrote, I want my kids to know that I had cancer, and that's all I want them to know. I didn't want them to remember me like always checking for there's another lump, I need to go back to the doctor, poking and prodding, all of the uncertainties and worry and constant waiting for results, because I had already had so I knew what that was like, right? So I didn't want my kids to remember that, and they were young. And so I just got super clear. It was like, after I read that, I was clear. It was that sinking in feeling that I talked about. And when my family members, I mean, some of them were like, so I decided to do a double mastectomy with reconstruction. And, when your family kind of questioned, because they're like, "Would you really need to do that?" And I was certain. I mean, it was just a certainty. And so then afterwards, after the pathology came back and the surgeon told me that, "Wow, you know your body really well," she said, because if we would have done a lumpectomy, it was bigger than we thought, and we would have been going back for a single mastectomy, and there was concern on the other side, so we probably would have done a double mastectomy.
Oh, anyway.
And so that was when I knew.
Oh my goodness, I just got goosebumps.
So because I really wanted the doctors to tell me, but if they would have, it might not have been the right decision. And so I think we have the answers.
Or you would have gotten there a lot harder way.
Right. Yes.
Instead of just listening. Oh my goodness, that's very powerful. It's not the same, but when you were speaking about making the decision and then having lots of things come up against it. What year is it? Almost 14 years ago, I quit my job, sold my stuff, and moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, which was a big change and a big decision. And it took me a while to decide to do that. When I finally did, like I had been looking for other jobs. And as soon as I made that decision, I got almost like 6 job offers. It was really tempting. And my family thought I was nuts. And, like all these things kept pushing, and my housing situation, like there were all these difficulties kind of. And I was like, well, no, I really think I need to try this and go. And so you kind of really have to stick with it, even if it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But, like trust that knowing.
Yeah. And I mean, some people say the universe is testing you or something. And I never really like that wording. For some reason, that isn't it for me. But that is, it's like I don't know what it is that makes you know, I really want to. It's like you have to really, I don't know, like make your own decision and be committed, like be fully all in, giving you the opportunity to be fully all in, I guess.
Yes. One of the best ways I've heard of it recently is like energy speak and vibration, so that when you raise your own vibration, all the lower vibe stuff kind of comes to the surface and has to let go. So when you've committed to that thing that's in alignment with you, then all like the other stuff comes up to the surface, and you have to either acknowledge it, deal with it, or just let it go.
Okay. That's perfect. I like that better.
That's what it feels like.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, the only other thing I want to say is if you have those whispers, or and oftentimes it's something that you might even be afraid to say out loud, to know that those are, I believe they're planted in you for a reason, those desires, and that you don't have to do it overnight. So those are big projects typically, and they don't happen overnight anyway. So you might as well start and just start small because it takes time, and learn to move through the fears and keep going. Yeah.
It does take time. I really appreciate you saying that, because I feel like getting to know ourselves in addition to doing a big project is almost like learning a new language. You really have to recognize and learn the new vocabulary and get to know yourself. And I need that reminder all the time that it takes time. I get frustrated with myself. Like, why aren't you doing this already? Oh, and right. You're not there yet.
I don't think social media is really helping us on that.
Oh, not at all.
And you see, it's,
it's like what you were saying, when you only hear the ego and that's your normal, you don't even realize it. It's off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I very much appreciated this conversation. Please tell us the best place to connect with you and your work.
Okay, great. So my website is KristinSwansonConsulting.com, and my Instagram is Kristin_Swanson_, and I can send you that stuff. And I have on my website, I have a free Make It Happen planner. So if anyone wants to go there and download it, and maybe you do have that whisper, just fill that out, and it can be the first step that we're talking about. And then you can start moving in the right direction to see the results that you want.
Amazing. Thank you. And I'll include all those links in the show notes below. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Sparkles. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Intuitive Wisdom Podcast. If you haven't already, click subscribe and follow. And if you love this episode, please leave a review and share it on Instagram and tag me at Delicious Ease. That's DELICIOUSEASE, so that I can say thank you. Every review helps another person find this podcast and learn to welcome their own intuitive wisdom. You can download your free 20-minute guided ideal day meditation on my website, deliciousease.com. Again, that's DELICIOUSEASE.com. And have you bought my book yet? Now available on Amazon, be sure to find my book, Make Ease Your Vibe, for mindset, energy, and time strategies that help you raise your vibration and enjoy the life you live. See you next week.